So today we're looking at open string arpeggio patterns for the classical guitar, and we're looking at numbers 36 to 71 in my new technique book as examples. But you can learn from the video for free, and I'll be giving lots of tips so you can just learn from that for free. But if you want to pick up the book, there's a link for that under the video. Before watching this video, make sure you've seen the first 35 arpeggio patterns just to get your right hand really working well. And then the video I did just before this, which is on planting and preparation in the right hand, because that's how you should practice all of these arpeggio patterns that we're going to look at. I'll demonstrate the planting a little bit on one or two arpeggios here, but then I'm just going to breeze through because there's so many exercises to cover. Number 36 onward, we dive into full arpeggios, like the traditional arpeggio patterns in the right hand that we'd want to cover. So number 36 is just open strings with the P-I-M-A pattern. Just kind of accenting the thumb. Now remember from the previous video, there's three ways to practice these arpeggios. We can practice them as full plants, so planting all the fingers on the strings, and then playing, plant, plant. Kind of cuts the sound, but it's a good muscle memory exercise. There's partial planting, where you plant the thumb, and then you plant the fingers. Thumb, fingers. You can see I'm resting the fingers on the strings before they have to play, which is good for accuracy and control and security of your playing, and speed training as well, because your fingers are in place before they have to actually play. And sequential planting is the most legato of all of them, and probably the best one to practice the most. That's where you plant one finger after the other. Just remember to always make sure that after the A finger, you also plant the thumb. And it should be pretty immediate, almost simultaneous. So you play one finger and plant the next one. But like I said, I've covered this fully in the last video, so I'm not going to push it much here. And the planting will feel different on every pattern that you do, but just do your best and try to apply some kind of a method to playing these arpeggios instead of just playing them. I mean, playing them is good, but practicing them in a particular way is really good for your playing. So exercise number 37, we accent the I finger. This is very important. Very important that we learn to accent different fingers in the arpeggio as the primary finger. That way we don't always think of the thumb as the strongest finger. We need to practice each one because in musical textures, the melody might be in any of these fingers. So you have to become very confident balancing the hand and making sure one finger can come out more than the others. So this pattern on number 37 is I-M-A-P, I-M-A-P. Another way you could practice these is by doing a rest stroke just on the accented note. So on number 36, we could accent just the thumb by doing a rest stroke. So rest, free, 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 rest stroke, free, 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 rest stroke, free, free, free. On number 37, we would just do a rest stroke on the I finger. Rest stroke, free, 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 rest stroke. You might find that hard to do, but you can get good at it. You can get very used to like accenting one finger or doing a rest stroke. It's not that you would necessarily do it in repertoire, but it's a good thing to practice just to get like a deep stroke in that one particular finger. And then you can switch back to free stroke for all the notes. Just think of that extra push that you gave to that one finger. I. Number 38 is accent with the M finger. M, or M-A-P-I, M-A-P-I, M-A-P-I. We're just doing the same pattern, but accenting a different finger as the starting note. So this is M, M. Number 39, we accent the A finger, or start with the A finger. So A-P-I-M, A-P-I-M. You could do a rest stroke on it or just free. When you're doing all of those exercises, just try not to accent the thumb unless you're doing the first one, right? Whatever finger is marked with an accent, accent just that finger. Okay, so number 40 is combinations of PIM or PMA. So number 40 with PIM is just essentially playing an arpeggio with the thumb gravitating or alternating through the different bass strings. You could do a rest stroke in the thumb again. Just for extra practice, but you can also just practice all free stroke. As with all these arpeggio patterns, make sure you've looked at my right hand technique videos so that you're moving the fingers in the correct way. So you're moving your fingers in towards the palm and the thumb coming on the outside of the fingers. But we've talked about it so much in other videos, I'm not going to get into it here. So number 40 with PMA. Number 41 is just kind of the reverse. It goes thumb, MI. Or thumb, AM. Should be learning by now that, like, as a classical guitar technique book, my book goes through every combination there is. And there's only so many right-hand fingers, so there's not that many combinations, but we are being very thorough to train your hand to do all the different combinations so that if they come up in repertoire, that your hand is going to really work for you. Number 42, again, puts an accent on a different finger, so in this case, I. So it's going to be I-M-P, I-M-P. Thumb is still going to alternate through the basses, but you'll have an accent on one of the fingers. These are harder, but very worth working out. You have to work out the process in the brain and the muscles to do this. It can be a little confusing at times. You have to take the time to make sure those, whatever neural pathways or the muscle memory is secure enough that you can do these patterns. Just make sure you're accenting the finger that's indicated, so that time I. Number 43 is accent on the I, but the pattern has changed. It's going to be I-P-M, 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 I-P-M. Or M-P-A, 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 M-P-A. If you don't think about it carefully, you can mess up very easily and do a different pattern by accident. Next one is accented M finger, M-I-P, M-I-P, M-I-P. Just make sure that M is getting accented. Also, the alternative pattern is A-M-P, A-M-P, A-M-P. Again, you can accent with the rest stroke if you like, for extra practice. You might ask, like, how can I do a rest stroke when I have to play that string right afterwards? You just need to do a quick release of the rest stroke finger. It's not that hard to do, but it's possible. Number 45 to 49 kind of continues the same idea. I'm just going to breeze through these because they're all very similar. They're just going through the same patterns, right? So this one is accented M finger, M-P-I, 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 or the alternative A-P-M, 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 A-P-M. Number 46, accented thumb. These are usually easier, right? But this one's going to be P-I-A. Feel free to do a rest stroke thumb, free stroke fingers. Sorry. Number 47 is just the opposite, P-A-I. again, we're just going through all the combinations. Number 48, accented I finger. I, A, P, I, A, P, I, A, P, I, A, P. Number 49, accented A finger. A, P, I, A, P, I, A, P, I, A, P, I. Okay, number 50 to 55, much more traditional. These are all thumb on the first beat, so very traditional arpeggio patterns, but we're just doing different combinations of the patterns. That's all. So similar, but again, all different combinations. So number 50, and remember to practice these with the 3 types of planting: full plants, partial plants, sequential plants. And feel free to do the first note with the rest stroke and the rest with free, or all with free stroke. So number 50 is just a traditional P-I-M-A pattern with the thumb moving up through the bass notes. Number 51 is kind of, well, is P-A-M-I, so kind of an upside down pattern. Of course, practice these fast if you want, or practice very slowly with lots of solid planting. And again, watch that planting video if you haven't already. Number 53 is P-M-I-A. Number 54 is P-M-A-I. If you keep track of your metronome speeds, you might find that some combinations are a little bit weird, like that pattern there. I can't do quite as fast as other patterns. Like other patterns, just kind of, you know, just breeze off the fingers, like it's so easy. But that kind of pattern, I can't do it in a reflex-oriented way as much, so you have to really practice some patterns more than others. So I recommend you keep track of your metronome speeds, find out which ones are harder to practice, and focus on those ones until you raise those speeds up a bit, just so that you're identifying weaknesses in your practicing and then addressing them, you know, accordingly. Number 55 is P-A-I-M. Okay, number 56 to 58 includes a lot of patterns within one. So again, I don't think I can really get into every single one. It's going to take forever. But again, we're going through the same patterns we did on number 50 to 55, but we're doing each one starting on a different finger. So there's 6 patterns, right? And so every time we start with a different finger, there'll be a new 6 patterns. So the 6 patterns on this one will be I-M-A-P, the next pattern I-P-A-M, I-A-M-P, I-A-P-M, like all the different combinations of those 4 fingers, right? But it all centered on the idea of accenting the I finger more than the other fingers. So working on balance and control in the right hand. Just make sure you're accenting the I finger. And if you want, you can practice doing a rest stroke with the I finger and free with the other fingers. Let's not go through every single one. I mean, the other one is like I-P-A-M, I-P-A-M, or I-A-M-P, I-A-M-P, or I-A-P-M, I-A-P-M. Let's not go through each one, but you get the idea as we're doing all the different combinations with accenting the I finger. Number 57, we're doing all the 6 combinations of those 4 fingers, starting with the M finger. So M. Sorry. Just making sure the M finger is the accented note. And then all the combinations. M-I-P-A, M-I-P-A, or M-P-I-A, M-P-I-A. Going going through all of the different combinations. Again, keep track of your metronome speeds, identify which ones are the hardest, and strengthen those ones. Number 58, all those 6 patterns with those 4 fingers, starting with the A finger, A, P, I, M, A, P, I, M, or A, M, I, P, A, M, I, P, or A, M, P, I, etc., etc. All the combinations accenting the A finger. Number 59 to 64 are expansion exercises in the right hand. When I talk about expansion and contraction in the right hand, I literally mean playing the fingers and the thumbs or the fingers apart from each other or close to each other. So far away from each other or close together. We do these exercises in the left hand all the time, right? We play basic melodic exercises, but then we do stretch exercises to help increase the flexibility and dexterity of our hands, as well as to increase the reach, right? We rarely do this in the right hand, but we should. And this exists in lots of different books, but I have dedicated some exercises just to that. So number 59, the expansion and contraction has to do with the fingers either playing close to the thumb or far away from the thumb. So they start far away, and then they get closer. So like that would be close on adjacent strings, slightly further away, really far away. Oops. A lot more potential for problems there. It's not as traditional of a right hand pattern. Just because of the constant changing string groups, right? It's really good practice for your right hand because we have to change string groups randomly in repertoire. Number 60, very similar, P, A, M, I, down through the string groups. Contraction, expansion, contraction. Essentially fingers far away from the thumb, fingers close to the thumb. All the rest of the patterns are just the different combinations of that, same concept. So like 61 is P, I, A, M, P, I, A, M, P, I, A, M, P, I, A, M. So again, all of these patterns here are just fingers far away or close, but different actual patterns. So like 62 is P, M, P, M, I, A, P, M, I, A, P, M, etc. Number 63 is P, M, A, I, P, M, A, I, P, M, A, I. Again, just getting closer or further away. And 64, P, A, M, P, A, I, M, P, A, I, M, P, A, I, M. I say so many patterns in these videos, I get confused as I do it. And then the last few patterns in this arpeggio group is going to be expansion and string spacing in the right hand. And instead of practicing these exercises from repeat sign to repeat sign, although you should do that, we're going to loop the individual groups. So what I mean by string spacing and expansion is we're going to actually be expanding the distance between fingers. The last one just did thumb versus fingers, right? Close to the thumb or far away from the thumb. Now we're going to experiment with like the I and the M finger being far apart. So these are pretty weird exercises, but it does come up in repertoire. And just having all the combinations and all these different patterns is going to make your right hand just really accurate and dexterous and whatnot. So number 65, we start with fingers close on adjacent strings. But then what we're going to do is just start moving the fingers away. This is similar to the last exercise. But number 66 starts to change. Adjacent strings. But then the I and the M finger are going to have a string between them. So the I finger on the 5th string, M on the 3rd. And then even further away. So see all the strings in between the I and the M finger. That distance is kind of weird, right? But it's a good thing to practice. It's like an expansion exercise in the right hand. loop those. I would recommend you loop each individual one. So you go to the highest expansion rate. And just loop that for a while. Number 67, we're increasing the expansion between the M and the A finger. And again, just loop the furthest one. This comes up in repertoire lots. Big expansion with the A finger. Number 68 is PIM, and we're just getting the PIM pattern away from the thumb. So we're just opening the hand up like that. Number 69 is getting the M finger far away from everything. So it's pretty far away, the I and the M finger. Might feel really weird. Really strange, but you should practice it. Number 70, we're getting the A finger far away in a PMA group. This one feels very strange to me. It just feels so strange, and you can feel some of the muscles in your hand kind of stretching out a little bit. And the last one, PMA group, and we're just throwing the A finger way out there. Oh, actually, number 70 was PMA, and the MA group just move away. And then number 71 is that A finger extension. Such a weird group, right? But if you've been watching all the videos, you're getting the idea now, is that we have to balance the whole right hand by doing all these different patterns and then zeroing in on each finger to make sure each finger is given the chance to become the dominant finger. And then we have a better balance over the whole hand. Even when you're playing chords, you'll be able to kind of zero in on one finger and just make sure that that one finger is coming out more than the others. In repertoire, if we have a multi-voice texture, we often have to bring out the melody by bringing out that one individual finger that has the melody, or more than one finger, but nevertheless, you need practice just bringing out the individual fingers. So you don't just think of your hand as like, oh, every arpeggio is the same. We have to be musically attuned to what's needed. And then with your ear, you can just kind of say like, oh, I need more of that voice. And then you just bring it out by bringing out that one finger. So the next video will focus on two-part arpeggios and the completion from number 72 up to 100.